Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and after 38 games, the Premier League is finally done. It was quite an entertaining game of the season, and we had all to play for at the final game of the season. Of course, the Premier League had been already won by Liverpool. We knew who the teams were going to get relegated. It was all about the teams fighting it out for those European places. Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. All of them had a chance to play in the Champions League, and I mean, what a ride it was for every team involved. Basically, if I'm being very honest with you, from the get-go, everybody thought it was, it was the one team that was the favorite to go to the Champions League out of the five was Manchester City, and they lived up to that. They go ahead, they score an early goal against Fulham, and they take pressure off themselves. It was looking really good for them. On the other hand, Nottingham Forest and Chelsea were playing 0-0. Newcastle against Everton, it was going 0-0, and same for Aston Villa and Manchester United. And as the things progressed, as the game went on, the score remained. And at halftime, all those three games were 0-0. So, like all the games that mattered, we did not have any, any score from that game. Apart from, as I said, Manchester City, they were really cruising. I mean, that goal from Ilkay Gundogan was really, really special to put them ahead. Second half comes in just before at the end of the second half, a big thing happened. A significant Emi Martinez gets sent off for Aston Villa at Old Trafford, and that basically changes the scenario of the game. Second half comes in, and then you start to have that final day shenanigans. It starts to happen. Chelsea go ahead and they take the lead. It becomes 1-0, and it looks like Chelsea are securing themselves. Now Nottingham Forest, they were in a really tricky situation. You have Newcastle and Aston Villa fighting it out for that last place. It looked like it was going to be one of them, and Everton go ahead and they scored the goal. It becomes 1-0 to Everton, and Aston Villa automatically they get into the top five. Newcastle are dropped to the sixth position, and Nottingham Forest, they still had a chance to somehow score a goal, maybe draw the game against Chelsea, and they could have had a chance to go into the Europa League. But unfortunately for Nottingham Forest, they were not really able to do that. They had a couple of big chances. I mean, Chris Wood right at the end also had an open net. He was just not able to convert those chances. So it was just not Nottingham Forest day to day. I watched that game. I think it was a weird game. I think both of them were quite scared, quite timid, if I'm being very honest with you, Chelsea and Forest. And Chelsea just had a bit of more of an edge as compared to Forest, and they were able to get that goal. On the other hand, as you said, Newcastle went behind courtesy of Everton's goal, but Newcastle would be really thankful to Manchester United and the referee in that game. Of course, it's a Premier League game, it's a Premier League weekend. How can we not talk about the PGMOL? I mean, they always screw it up. It doesn't really matter what the situation it was, the circumstances are. They somehow managed to screw it up. Aston Villa Manchester United score, and that puts Newcastle right back into the top five, and Aston Villa drop down to the sixth place. Manchester City, on the other hand, quite comfortably, win their game. They score a second goal and they win the game, and they finish third on the table. Chelsea, edge past Nottingham Forest, despite Forest trying to win that game. They edge past Nottingham Forest. They finish fourth, and Newcastle, despite losing the game, they end up finishing fifth. Manchester United won the game 2-0. But as I said, there's a huge controversy which we are going to talk about as things as the days go by, because Aston Villa, they are they have launched a complaint to the PGMOL, but nothing really is really going to happen, to be very honest with you. And unfortunately for Aston Villa, that one big decision has costed them about 100 million pounds. So that is a massive amount, and a massive thing that has happened. Unfortunately for them, they are not going to be in the Champions League because from the smallest of margins. Because of that one huge decision, they are out. They are going to play in the Europa League. Forest, massive season for them, and as I said, a lot of drama was behind this game against between Forest and Chelsea, because they had banned Gary Neville, and Jamie Carragher was banned as well, and because of all the scenario that what happened between the owner and the manager. But somehow I would still say that the owner would be really happy. They are going to be in Europe, they are going to play the Conference League. So in my opinion, a really great season for Nottingham Forest as well. The champions, I mean, they played the FA Cup winners. It was a really entertaining game. I said it was going to end up in a draw, and it did. I mean, Mohamed Salah again stepping up and scoring the equalizer for Liverpool. Arsenal, on the other hand, they go ahead and win. I mean, a great achievement for a great moment for Kieran Tierney. Last game for the club, and he goes ahead and scores. Southampton made a comeback, but Martin Odegaard, the captain, steps up to score the goal for Arsenal. It becomes a 2-1. They finish second, a third year in a row. As an Arsenal fan, I mean, this season was quite a roller coaster of a season. I'm going to do the detail. I'm going to do the video where we are going to review the prediction. I'm going to do a grading video for every Premier League club, for every manager as well. So that is things, and we are going to talk about all these things in detail. But I just wanted to do a roundup of the day. Bournemouth, I mean, what a win for them. They end up finishing in the top 10 of the season. They have in the table. They had an amazing season. There was chances, they could have ended up being in the in the European competition as well. But the last month or so really derailed them, unfortunately. But I would say it's a massive season for them. I mean, and then we need to talk about the three disappointments, of course. I mean, West Ham, the amount of money they spent and the players that they brought in. I mean, I really thought that they were gonna go ahead and do something really special. I mean, I put them 6 in the table. That's how bad I went with them. I really thought the amount of players that they brought in, and the manager that they had at that time, I really thought something was really going to cook at West Ham. Unfortunately, it did not happen. Manchester United, I mean, the less we talk about Manchester United, the better. This is going to be a massive summer for them. It has been a terrible season. I mean, the worst in their history. So it is going to be very interesting. We already are seeing so many players, the contracts are not getting renewed. They are being sold. I mean, Garnacho did not play. Onana was not in the squad. Both of them were not in the squad. There's a big indication that both of them are going to leave. There are going to be other departures as well. So a lot is going to happen in Manchester United, and so it will be interesting to see Ruben Amorim, with the speech that he gave. It looks like he's going to stay. So I personally think that Ruben Amorim should stay, and I think he should be given free rein to get rid of every player that he wants. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your position is. If he says you have to go, you need to leave the club. And I think the owners really need to back him in this scenario. Spurs, on the other hand, I mean, that is a completely different situation. They have lost 22 league games. They got battered by Brighton. I went for a 3-1 prediction win for Brighton. It ended up being a 4-1. I said that Brighton were really gonna destroy Spurs. Yeah, because Spurs, firstly, they are really poor, and anyway, they are they are at the moment they are on a holiday mode anyway. I mean, the Spurs official account, they put out a post on X like the Europa League champions end the season and with a defeat on the final day. So you just know what their thinking is at the moment. So they really did not care. So it will be interesting some at Spurs as well. I mean, whether Ange Postecoglou stays or goes, that is going to be a really interesting question. In my opinion, I mean, he needs to go. That that Europa League win doesn't really gloss over the fact that they lost 22 times in the Premier League. I mean, this is the first time that the team has lost 22 times and they have not gotten relegated, only because the 3 teams were really bad and they got lucky. I keep on saying Manchester United, West Ham, Tottenham Hotspur, all 3 of them were really lucky that the 3 teams below them were even worse than them. They were so poor that they somehow got lucky and they survived. As I said, it was quite an eventful day, but it ended up sort of what the day ended sort of the way that it started. Only Newcastle and Chelsea swapped places. Apart from that, the expectation, where everybody thought they were going to finish, it is there. A massive season for Brighton, for Bournemouth, for Fulham. I think all of them had a great, really great season. Brentford themselves, I mean, they had a good season as well. Wolves, the end of the season for Wolves was really good. It looked like they were going to be in trouble. They lost today, but I still think they are. At one time it looked like they might end up getting relegated. So the turnaround from Wolves has been a massive. Everton, same as what David Moyes has done at Everton has been really good. So really interesting into the season, and now we wait for about 2.5 months to see all what they do, and we meet again next year. That's it for me in this video in the roundup. As I said, we are going to dig deep in every team. I'm going to do a grading video for every manager, for every club, and of course we are going to review my predictions that I did at the start of the season. So please go ahead and subscribe and help the channel out. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers before the Champions League final. That is my deadline. About 20+ subscribers remaining. So please go ahead and subscribe and help the channel out. Until next time, bye bye.